Most of us grow up absorbing a quiet, unquestioned assumption about how the world works. We look around and see events scattering in every direction, effort failing to match outcomes, and we naturally conclude that life is unpredictable. We decide the universe is ultimately random. That belief becomes the lens we look through, and it forces a specific way of living. If life is random, it's unstable. And if it's unstable, you have to spend your energy managing what happens, preparing for disruption, and bracing for impact when things inevitably go wrong. When you perceive life as chaotic, your thoughts and actions become highly reactive. You try to fix external circumstances to find stability, but each act of correction carries an underlying message that something outside of you is broken, which only feeds the anxiety and pushes the system further into instability. Because the framework you're using to interpret these events hasn't changed, the cycle just spins faster. You keep reacting to the symptoms, which simply reinforces the perception of a chaotic universe. But if we step back, a different possibility emerges. From a distance, patterns that look like chaos are often just a form of order we haven't learned to recognize yet. It suggests that what feels like randomness is actually a series of connected threads we simply haven't perceived. If reality is not random, it means it is being organized. It means life is part of a living structure, one that can be observed, mapped, and eventually understood. This living structure functions as an intelligent field, the continuous medium through which every moment of your life unfolds. It is an organized, responsive system that is always in operation, whether we recognize it or not. You exist as a node within this system. You are not an observer standing outside of reality, but an integrated participant in a field that is constantly interacting with your presence. The field processes your internal state as information. Every thought you repeat, every emotional state you sustain, and every belief you hold are active structural signals transmitted directly into the field itself. These signals form the architectural blueprint of your experience. Because the field is responsive, it organizes the external events of your life to match the internal patterns you provide. This is where popular ideas about manifestation usually break down. People assume that if they hold a positive thought for 5 minutes or write down an intention, reality should immediately hand them the result. But the field does not respond to fleeting wishes. It responds to what is structurally stable within you, the patterns that are repeated and reinforced long enough to become part of your internal configuration. We call this stability coherence. Coherence happens when thoughts, emotional currents, and deepest assumptions stop fighting and move together. By contrast, desiring a specific outcome while underlying beliefs reinforce fear creates dissonance. You're broadcasting a fragmented pattern the field cannot organize around. The precision of this system provides the stability we rely on. If reality reorganized itself around every passing fear or temporary whim, our experience would fragment into total unpredictability. The field operates purely on resonance. It doesn't judge the quality of your desires. It simply arranges physical experiences to match the most consistent, coherent structures you hold inside. To navigate this system, we have to look at the specific laws governing it. These principles are always running in the background, exactly like gravity. You don't have to acknowledge these rules for them to shape your life. First is the law of resonance. The external environment acts as a mirror, drawing together patterns that share a similar internal organization. What you consistently hold within tends to slowly find its reflection in the situations you encounter. Then there is amplification. An emotional state or narrative you return to repeatedly clusters into a dense structure, gaining influence, and if you deny an experience, you trigger integration. Resisting a pattern locks it as a structural blockage, ensuring it continues showing up until processed. When you trace these laws back through your own history, the mystery starts to fade. You see that repeating negative cycles are not bad luck. They are the physical expressions of an inner architecture that hasn't yet been updated. The moment you recognize that you are operating inside a highly structured system, something profound relaxes inside of you. The constant pressure to figure it all out begins to ease. You step out of reactive living. Trying to force external events to go your way creates tension. It is an attempt to override the system, not understand it. This perspective changes how we interpret our own pain. We naturally tend to view suffering as a punishment or proof that life is simply cruel. But inside an intelligent field, friction and suffering act as vital system feedback. They reveal exactly where your internal architecture is misaligned, showing you where your thoughts and beliefs are pulling in conflicting directions. Treating hardship as structural data strips away the weight of victimhood. It restores your agency. You stop asking what you did wrong and start asking what the system is showing you. Achieving alignment doesn't require you to police every single passing thought. It requires a willingness to honestly observe the underlying patterns you return to again and again. When a challenge arises, you can discard the old defensive response, "Why is this happening to me?" and replace it with a much more useful inquiry. What is the structure held within me that this experience is organizing around? That shift in orientation pulls you out of survival mode. You are no longer managing a chaotic universe. You are actively observing how you participate. This environment functions as a refinement chamber for your awareness, where misalignment becomes visible, allowing you to consciously move toward coherence. True mastery is the lifelong practice of aligning your inner architecture with the responsive field you have always been a part of. It is the end of waiting for life to happen and the beginning of conscious participation.